Hey, happy life, happy journey, happy day. Wow, you won't believe where I'm at. While we're building a little bit of traffic, I'll tell you. I am in San Jose, Costa Rica with my good friend and brother Stefan Hoffman, and we are here to do a little bit of filming for Rythmia. So I'm taking a quick moment out of this trip to do this Facebook Live, and I'm so honored to be here with you today. I'm so grateful for each of you showing up. I love this community that we build each week. So my buddy Stefan is holding the camera, so I'm not able to see if people are commenting or what your comments are, but I'm super glad because I know that the family is showing up. So thank you so much. Today, Stefan and I were on this little puddle jumper, literally Pterodactyl Airlines. It was like the vomit comet from Tamarindo to San Jose. And while we were on the plane, we were talking about spiritual principle and practice. And so the topic for today, Better Than You Can Imagine, came up out of me sharing with Stefan a little bit about the journey that brought me here to Rythmia. And the piece around Better Than We Can Imagine and the truth of the spiritual principle is that when we are following Spirit's guidance, when we are following the true nudges and urges of our heart, which are the true nudges and urges and desires of the divine for us, then it is better than we can imagine. It's outside of our current circumstance. It's outside of our current place of awareness. So this is the difference between visioning and visualization. Visualization is something specific. I see myself living in this type of house. I see myself having this type of job. I see myself doing these things. I see myself married. I see myself, whatever it is, that's within our specific frame of reference. It's from the past because it's what we know. But the way Spirit works is outside of, more than our current frame of reference. It is better than we could imagine. It's even better than what the realm of our imagination is. So for example, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Which is now one of the questions that I just dislike the most, right? What is your 10-year plan, right? This question is based on my past knowledge. So I would have never, ever in a million years even thought of saying, well, I see myself working at an ayahuasca retreat center in Costa Rica. No, that wasn't even in my frame of awareness. So when we are thinking about our life purpose, when we're thinking about what's next for us, when we're thinking about our intention for our life, we want to keep that intention broad enough so that we're not stuck in the realm of visualization. Let me get a specific thing. And visualization has its purpose. I have a task. I'm going to speak in front of a group. And so I can see myself speaking in front of that group. I know it's going to be great. I'm working with visualization and intention on that level for a specific end. But when we're talking about life purpose, visualization is too narrow. We want to vision. And visioning is opening up a place in our awareness, a place in our consciousness for a divine idea to emerge that is better than I could imagine. So in this example, it would be the difference between saying, I want to go to New York, or I want to go east, right? New York might be on the path on my journey east, but there's so much more east, even more than I can imagine. So I want to set my intentions where they're broad enough to accommodate all that Spirit has to offer. So if I were going to take this back to my example, my life intentions were threefold. One, was to focus on my own spiritual growth and development. Two was to walk that path with others. I felt a real desire to walk the path of spiritual growth and development with others. And three was to be in service to a grand idea of a world that works for the best and highest individual and collective good. To be in service to what Martin Luther King Jr. called the kind and just global society. And so from that level, those three intentions are broad enough that they can accommodate a whole range of activity. When I was working as a sales manager, I could still focus on my spiritual growth and development, walk that path with others, and be in service to a kind and just global community. And now, expanding 5 years later at Rythmia, I can focus on my spiritual growth and development, walk that path with others, and be in service of a kind and just global community. So our intentions must be broad enough to accommodate all that Spirit has to offer for us. So as you're setting your intentions, an intention is a trajectory that says, this is where I intend to go. So we want to set our intentions broad enough so that they can accommodate more than a specific desired outcome. It's moving from the me plan to the we plan. Because whenever I broaden my intention, it always includes a common good, a good for the community. We're not just talking about our own good. This is spiritual growth and development as we up-level our consciousness to be involved in something that is more than just about us. It's about our broader community and our contribution. This is the up-leveling that takes place when we move into a thinking around a broader intention. So as you set your intentions, I want you to be thinking about better than I could imagine, outside of anything I can imagine. So the intentions that you set have to be around being a generator of peace, living in abundance, right? Let's say you're working on abundance. So you could say, my intention is to have an income of $1 million a year. And my intention is to live in a big house on the mountains on Mulholland Drive that overlooks the Santa Monica Bay and downtown Los Angeles. Those are fine intentions. But if you want to work with abundance and you want to work with Spirit, why limit Spirit? Maybe it's even more than that. Maybe your idea of abundance is too narrow. And so my invitation is that you now think, for example, if you're working on an intention around abundance, you now begin to broaden it and say, my intention around abundance is that I live in a world that is constantly creating out of itself without ever depleting itself. That everything I do is amplified and multiplied 7 times. Every bill I pay comes back to me 7 times, a minimum of 7 times. I live in a world of circulation where everything that I do returns back to me amplified and magnified. And I, in turn, return that out, and it continues to amplify in an ever-increasing good. These are unlimited ideas of intentionality around abundance. So the invitation from this talk is to use the spiritual principle of an ever-increasing good, to use the spiritual principle that Spirit is limitless, therefore you're limitless too. So whatever you're working on, whether it's your job, your relationship, abundance, health, and vitality, whatever you're working on, be sure to work with your intentions, and the intention is broad enough to accommodate a bigger expression of Spirit. And the other thing around working with intentions is that the intention becomes the conversation, right? I was working with somebody yesterday in our integration class at Rythmia, and he said he was fearful around telling his wife something, right? He was going to basically leave his wife. He got something knowing that the relationship was over, and he didn't want to, he was afraid of telling his wife and telling his kids because he didn't want to be the destroyer of the family. But he felt that this was the next step for him in his spiritual growth and development. So my invitation to him was to begin working with intention around that. Not that everything goes perfectly with my wife and my kids don't think I'm the destroyer of the family, but rather to set the intention that everything is unfolding for the best and highest individual and collective good in this situation. That the best and highest individual collective good, that I'm speaking with my wife's higher self and my kids' higher self so that they know that everything is unfolding for them, that nothing is against them, and that everything is working together for their good. So now the intention around that becomes louder than the conversation of fear around what he's going to tell his family and kids, right? The conversation of fear is real, and that's a real concern. But we don't want to be stuck in the Job factor, right? Job, in the Bible, Job's greatest fear was realized. He was afraid he was going to lose everything, and eventually he did. Because when we have an unconscious fear or a conversation that is less than expansive, we are sending out that conversation into the creative medium that is the energy of the Spirit that is responding to our thinking, right? What we think about, we bring about. So that's the principle of reflection of the universe. So if I'm going to be working with intention, I want to make sure that my intention is broad and that it's something that resonates with me and that I can begin to keep returning to, so that the conversation around my intention becomes louder than my fear, doubt, or worry. So if my conversation around intention of abundance becomes louder than any limiting belief that I have that this might not be enough for me, or that the good is over there and it's always better for them over there, but it never happens to me. Right? That might be a real thought pattern around abundance, but I'm going to set an intention that I live in a friendly and abundant universe and everything is unfolding for my best and highest good, and that there is no limitation, that spirit is limitless, so am I. Now that conversation, those intentions are broad enough that it can accommodate a house on the hill, it can accommodate $1 million a year income, but it can accommodate so much more. Who knows what it can accommodate? Let's not contain God. Let's let God be God. Let's let God be limitless. Let's let spirit be abundant in its nature and give unto us all good things, for it is the Spirit's great pleasure to give us the keys to the kingdom, and nothing is being withheld. So, today's talk, better than I could ever imagine. This is the idea around intention, that we set our intentions that are broad enough, like I want to go east instead of I want to go to New York, and that we set our intentions in a way that resonate with us, so that as we are speaking our intention, that the conversation around the intention becomes louder than the limiting chatter of our thoughts and beliefs that might be limiting to us. And so this is our short Facebook Live today, because my brother Stefan and I are going to be meeting with a few people and continuing doing some filming for Rythmia. I'm super excited to be, like, this is life, man. I get to travel and be involved in the unfolding of a place like Rythmia that is engaged in helping people awaken to their purpose and to know something true about themselves, to return to a state of wholeness so that they can go out and live a contribution to the planet, to be on their hero's journey, right? So check out Rythmia. Go to the website, rythmia.com. Come down and see us in beautiful Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Engage in this expansive plant medicine and walk the path with us. We'd love to see you. So that's it. Peace and richest blessings. And I'll see you next week at the same time.